It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices, the podcast where we dive into the issues that matter most to women. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, Queen Bee of this hive, and today we're covering a topic that's close to my heart and affects so many of us: surviving chronic illness. All right, before we jump in, I am going to answer a listener question from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Hello from across the border. Thank you very much, Canada, for listening. I appreciate it, specifically Vancouver. This listener's question was, what are the chances that I could ever meet the queen bee? Well, I think it depends on a lot of things. I appreciate the inquiry, and I have actually been working on maybe trying to either have some meetups, like maybe have a contest of some sort where the most listeners in an area, maybe we schedule a meetup and I'll fly there, whatever. I'm still working on it. So what are the chances of meeting the queen bee? I think it depends on what country you're in, and if my passport has been revoked for terrible female behavior. Kidding. And time of year, all that fun stuff. But I would say there is a chance for many listeners to meet the queen bee. We'll see where it goes. But thank you, Canada, for your question. I really appreciate it. And for the rest of you, feel free to submit questions. You can text in, just clicking on the link in the description. You can text or you can email. All right, so let's get started. First of all, ladies, let's be real. Chronic illness is a battle. It's a war that rages within our bodies day in and day out. It's invisible to many and misunderstood by most, and quite often dismissed by those who haven't walked a mile in our shoes. But today, we're going to change some of that, because I think it's important to highlight that we are not just surviving, we are thriving. We are warriors. And this episode is dedicated to every woman out there fighting her own battle with a chronic illness. Let's kick things off by acknowledging the elephant in the room. Chronic illness can make you feel isolated, frustrated, and sometimes downright hopeless. And if we're being honest, some suicidal thoughts can creep in there sometimes, especially for those of us with chronic pain issues. But here's the first hint of the day. You are not alone. Repeat after me. I am not alone. Chronic illness comes in many forms. Fibromyalgia, lupus, that's the one I am plagued with, multiple sclerosis, otherwise known as MS, chronic fatigue syndrome, endometriosis, celiac disease, and so many more. I don't have time to list all of them, but each of them comes with its own set of challenges. But there is a common thread that binds us together. It's our resilience. It's our determination and our relentless spirit to keep surviving and thriving with these awful health conditions that we've been plagued with. So how do we not just survive, but thrive with chronic illness? Well, buckle up, honeybees, because I'm about to drop some knowledge. First things first, embrace your reality, but do not let it define you. Accepting your illness does not mean giving up. It means acknowledging your body's needs and working with them, not against them. Your illness is part of your story, but it does not define your entire narrative. Do not live down to your diagnosis. You are so much more than the illness you have been labeled with. Think of it like this. You've been handed a unique set of cards. It's not about the hand you were dealt, it's about how you play it. Embrace your reality, adapt, and find ways to shine in your own right. Now, don't get confused. I'm not telling you to just smile and pretend that life is grand. I get it. I live with this crap every day of my life, and it is downright hell sometimes. But I'm not going to let lupus stop me. Oh, hell no. It's going to take far more than lupus to destroy me. If I'm being honest, it'll probably be my pug or my pit bull. They are going to destroy me, but lupus will not. Just kidding. All right, this next piece, I swear I can almost hear your eyes rolling, but stay with me. Set boundaries like a boss. When you have a chronic health condition, setting boundaries is crucial. Your energy is precious, and it is okay to say no. Protect your peace, prioritize your health, and don't apologize for it. Boundaries are your best friend. They empower you to take control of your life and conserve your energy for what truly matters. I know that this is a hard one. Setting and enforcing boundaries can be so incredibly uncomfortable, but I promise you, it gets easier to do even through the discomfort. I have embraced the word no, and I sing it like a champ. And I piss a lot of people off because I set boundaries, but I don't care. They are not surviving my life. I am. I am the one dealing with this. And so I am going to say no when I don't have the reserves. You've got to keep in mind that saying no to others often means you are saying yes to yourself. And that is not selfish. That is self-preservation. And the next piece is to build your tribe. No warrior fights alone. Surround yourself with a tribe that gets it. Find support groups, connect with others who understand your journey, lean on your friends and family, get therapy, get a coach. Your tribe will lift you up on the days when you feel like you can't go on. But building your tribe also means cutting out toxic people who drain your energy. Ain't nobody got time for that, right, ladies? You deserve a support system that uplifts and empowers you. Trust me, I cut the dead weight years ago, and I will never, ever, ever go back. Next up, be your own advocate. Speak up in medical appointments, demand the care that you deserve, and don't settle for less. Educate yourself about your condition, keep detailed records, and do not be afraid to get a second opinion. You are your own best advocate, and your voice matters. I had a 15-year battle with medical professionals before I got my diagnosis. I was treated like I was a hysterical woman making up symptoms. Literally, all they needed to do was run a blood test. That's it. Because the list of symptoms that I gave them all met criteria for lupus. I didn't know it at the time, because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I had some suspicions, but I was in denial. And all it took was for one single doctor to listen to me and run one simple blood test to confirm. But I had to wait 15 years. And part of those 15 years, I didn't know how to advocate for myself. This is why it is so incredibly important. You need to speak up. If you are not getting the care that you need from your medical team, find a new one. Fire them all, start over if you have to. And I know in rural areas it can be very difficult. And I know that part of this comes from a place of privilege. I had to move out of so this wasn't the reason why I moved. I had moved out of the rural area that I was living in to another rural area, but one that was a little bit closer to some better medical care. And that's where I finally got somebody to start listening to me. So, and also for one of my providers, I drive 45 minutes, because it's what I've got to do living in rural America. And let's not forget the power of self-care. Listen to your body, nourish it, and give it the love it deserves. Whether it's a spa day, a walk in nature, or just a nap, take care of yourself unapologetically. And honestly, this next piece, ladies, it is time to harness your inner badass. Chronic illness may slow you down, but it cannot stop you. Pursue your passions, chase your dreams, and live life on your own terms. Your illness is just one part of your journey. It does not define your destination. Yeah, you may need to get a little bit creative like I had to. I can't work outside the home because of my challenges, but you know what? I figured out how to make it work. I figured out how to work from my home and survive this horrific disease that I've been given. Figure out what lights you up and go after it with everything that you've got. Paint, write, dance, start that business, whatever it is, do not hold back. Your dreams are valid and your potential is limitless, so do not let a chronic health condition stop you and hold you back. Push through that BS. And this one needs to be taken with a grain of salt, but embrace the power of positivity. And I'm not talking this toxic positivity, pretend everything's fine and be in denial. No, not that at all. But we have to acknowledge that positivity is very powerful. When you cultivate a mindset of gratitude and focus on what you can do, not what you can't, you will be surprised at how your mind allows you to think things differently and move differently in your life. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small, and keep pushing forward. Surround yourself with positivity, whether it's through affirmations, uplifting music, inspiring books, healthy people. And honestly, and here's the therapist in me, but gratitude journals, they are a game changer. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. It shifts your focus and reminds you of the good that's in your life. Shift that focus from the negative to the positive. And again, this is not saying to minimize what you're going through at all. But when you shift that mindset, change happens. Trust me on this one. And the next piece is to keep the conversation going. We need to keep talking about chronic illness. Share your story, raise awareness, and educate others. The more we talk about it, the more understanding and support we create. Use your voice to advocate for change, not just for yourself, but for all women out there fighting the same battle or similar battles. So I want to share a little bit of my journey with you in case it's helpful to have a source of inspiration or ideas. Talking about embracing your reality, but not letting it define you. I know firsthand from personal experience, as well as my experiences as a therapist, if you embrace a diagnosis and let it define you, and you live down to your diagnosis, I promise you're going to be miserable. It's like saying, so for example, in addition to having lupus, I also live with anxiety. However, I don't just say, oh, I have anxiety. This is just how it is. And I have to live a sheltered life because I can't handle going out and doing these things. No, absolutely not. My narrative is I have lupus. I have anxiety. I have a thyroid condition. I have insert any sort of negative thing in my life here, whatever. However, I do not let it define me. My narrative is that I have it and I am going to excel anyway. I embrace my inner warrior and I fight. I'm not going to just lay down and allow chronic illness to consume me. I can't. I won't lie. When I first found out that I had lupus, it was a little bit tough. Because I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't understand my body, and I didn't know the signals of me going into a flare. Once I figured that out, I figured out the rest of it, which that second piece after embracing your reality but not letting it define you is that boundary setting. Once I figured out what sets a flare off for me, I figured out how to say no to people. There's this great, I want you to Google spoon theory in relation to chronic illness. I can't remember who developed spoon theory, but a lot of you may actually know it already. But it was somebody dealing with a chronic health condition. I almost think it was lupus. I'm kind of sure it was lupus. It was when I first started reading about my condition that I discovered spoon theory. So the very quick rundown of it is, with spoon theory, you are given a set number of spoons for the day, and each activity that you do costs you a certain amount of spoons. But with somebody who does not have a chronic health condition, they have their spoon allowance is different, and it doesn't cost them as many spoons as it does somebody with a chronic illness. And so, in actually, just to give you a little bit more of a background, this spoon theory conversation came out of an awesome conversation between a woman with, again, I think it was lupus, and her friend. And her friend was trying to understand why this woman is canceling on her all the time. And so they had gone out to eat at a restaurant, and that's where the spoon theory came from, because she was illustrating that, here, you have these spoons, spend them wisely. And so the friend was like, okay, I get up and I go running, and that takes a spoon. And the woman with a chronic illness was like, oh, no. First of all, it cost me 2 spoons just to get out of bed. And then it cost me 4 spoons just to take a shower. And sometimes that's all the spoons for the day. And there's no washing of the spoons. So again, I don't have the time to fully explain spoon theory to you, but it's part of boundary setting as far as understanding your limitations. So again, when I first discovered I had lupus, it was devastating to me until I figured out how to manage it. And part of managing it is saying no. It's very uncomfortable at times, because I think sometimes people think of you as flaky if you can't follow through on plans or whatever. But if those people aren't taking the time to understand your illness, then maybe they're not the people you need to be spending your time with anyway. So I protect my spoons like they are gold. I give a lot of my spoons to family. I could have, for example, I typically record my podcast episodes on Fridays for for release on the following Friday. But the last month and a half has been a little bit chaotic because of some things going on in my family life, and I haven't been able to do that. I've given spoons away to various family members to help them. And then I find myself scrambling and not being able to do the things that I wanted to do because I'm dedicated to releasing a podcast episode every single Friday. And so I may have to push myself at times to get through things just to get the basics done. So if you have a friend with a chronic health condition, give them a break. They don't always have the energy for you, and it's okay. It's not a slight on you. They're fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And if you are one of these people listening who have a chronic health condition like I have, there is no shame in setting boundaries and telling people no. And if you're having a hard time with that, please reach out to me. I love, love, love teaching women how to set and enforce boundaries because it's so incredibly important, especially women with chronic health conditions like I have. To be very honest, a lot of women with autoimmune conditions, and this isn't all, but I'm just saying a lot of them have some similar characteristics. And usually they are very driven women who have basically broken themselves by being so driven. They're the people at work who are always going above and beyond. They're staying late. They're working from home. They're doing all of these unhealthy things. They don't have good self boundaries. They don't know how to prioritize themselves because they're constantly giving to others. And I feel like autoimmune conditions are the response to that. It's the body saying, okay, you're not going to take care of yourself. I'm going to force you. And that's what happened with me. I was not taking care of myself. I was working like crazy. I ended up having to take a month off of work when I worked at an agency. And during that month off, that's when I realized that I could not keep going at that pace. I can't be part of corporate America because corporate America does not care about you. You are a number. You are filling a seat. And so I had to figure out how to survive. And then when I figured out how to survive, I figured out how to thrive. And part of that, going off of the tips that I talked about earlier, I had to build my tribe. And part of that was getting rid of the toxic people who drained my energy. I couldn't keep giving of myself. I just couldn't. And while it was uncomfortable to do, I had to do it for me. And then I learned how to advocate for myself in doctor's appointments. I can tell you, as somebody whose chart indicates lupus, anytime I walk into an urgent care, they want me to pay the $50 copay to tell me, oh, we can't help you. You have to go to your doctor. This is your lupus. You need to see your specialist. After having that happen a few times, I started getting a little cranky and pushing back and saying, this is not lupus. This has nothing to do with my lupus. I am here because this is a separate issue. I swear sometimes in certain circles, you walk in with a broken leg and they want to tell you it's your chronic health condition just so that they don't have to deal with you. So that's been very, very frustrating for me. But once you learn how to advocate for yourself, you can push back on that. And I have upset a lot of family members because I can't do all the things that I used to do. But you know what? Sorry, not sorry. I have to take care of me. And I think that's one of the most important pieces in all of this is learning how to put yourself first. It doesn't feel good. It feels selfish because that's what society tells us. Anytime that we take care of ourselves and not put everyone else ahead of us, that's selfish. No, it is absolutely not selfish. Get that negative thought out of your head. You know, when I'm at my worst, I have to remember that there are things that are fantastic in my life because I've gone to some pretty dark places and I don't want to live like that. And so that's how I've embraced positivity when I can. I allow myself to feel the negative feelings, but then I move through them and I don't get stuck in it. If I'm having a bad flare day and my pain is through the roof, I allow myself to be angry, but then I pick myself back up and say, okay, what do you need right now? And usually it's a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest. And so I finally listen to my body now because it's so incredibly important to do. So to anyone listening who struggles with a chronic health condition, don't live down to your diagnosis. Educate yourself about your illness and then rise above it. Beat the crap out of it. Harness the power that you have inside of you. Allow yourself the moments where you're frustrated and upset, but pick yourself up. To all the women listening today, please remember this. You are strong and resilient. You're a force to be reckoned with. Your chronic illness is a part of your journey, but it does not define your strength or your worth. Keep fighting, keep pushing, and most importantly, keep shining. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in to this episode of the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. If you loved this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your tribe. Together, we can amplify our voices and create a world where women with chronic illness are seen, heard, and empowered. Until next time, keep buzzing, keep thriving, and remember, you are unstoppable. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.